All right, and we are live, and welcome back to another live episode of Hail Yes, a Michigan football and basketball podcast by the Detroit Free Press. I'm Andrew Burkle, of course, joined by our Michigan beat writer, Tony Garcia. And Tony, we don't normally record on Sundays, especially Easter Sundays, but we also don't normally have a team playing for a national championship either, and that is the case tomorrow in Indianapolis. So apologies in advance. I am recording at my parents' house where I'm back for the holiday. There may be dogs barking. We got 3 dogs in the house. Who knows what kind of technology we're working with? As you can see, I got mediocre camera coverage at best. Tony's in a hotel room, but sometimes the duty calls and you have to show up and talk about Michigan basketball. And that is absolutely the case as Michigan rolls to the national championship game, smashes Arizona like they have been smashing teams all year, quite frankly. And, we kind of thought maybe Arizona is going to be the exception. Maybe Arizona is going to be the team who is going to make Michigan look a bit more mortal. That was not the case. Michigan absolutely rolls Arizona. And Tony, you were on the scene to see it all. So what did you make of that decimation?
I thought that it was just the latest example of Michigan's inevitability, right? That's the word that just keeps coming to mind. This team feels now. Then I have all my buddies who are very excited about what's going on, texting me and calling it a jinx or a this or a that. And I mean, it's not about that. I'm not thinking about that. It's just sometimes you got to call it like you see it. And for months now, this team has looked like the best team in the country. There have been the rare setback, a hot shooting night from Wisconsin, a really good game with Duke where Michigan didn't play its best, but Duke had something to do with that. But I mean, you're leaving Big Ten play. It's kind of a one-off thing. That's just a weird scheduling thing that they wanted to do because they wanted to see where they were, where their level was heading into the tournament. And then you had the Big Ten tournament championship against Purdue, a game that Purdue was extremely hungry for. Michigan, I mean, you can't fake desperation. Hungry dogs run faster. We've all heard the phrase. It's really true. And so Michigan still really wanted to win that game, obviously, and they were pretty beaten up about it afterwards. But Dusty May was saying today how, I mean, it was just sort of like one final reset or reboot, I think was his word, coming into the NCAA tournament. And they've been historic in March Madness. First team with 5 straight 90-point games while beating teams by double digits in every game. They have not been in a close contest midway through the second half or beyond. They were up 2 to Howard. They were down 2 to Alabama, but they blitzed both teams in the second half, and they didn't wait against Arizona. Yaxel picks up 2 fouls in 82 seconds. No problem, 10-1 run. They've got him doubled up. It's 28-14. That's when Yaxel sprains his knee and his ankle. He goes down. He's hobbled. He leaves the court with trainer Chris Williams. Arizona sort of capitalizes on that moment, punches Michigan, really the only punch it landed all day, 9-0 run. All of a sudden, it's a 5-point game, and it's like, all right, this is maybe more the game many of us were expecting to see, given these are 2 of the top 4 KenPom teams in the history of the KenPom era, going back like 30 years. But Michigan just they would have none of it. They responded with another run of their own. Adai Mara, career high, 26 points. Trey McKinney, 4 threes, lighting it up from outside. Elliot Cadeau, 13 points, 10 assists. His shooting line is not going to look great. He was 5 for 17 in the box score. But Dusty was telling us today, and it's just another level. I mean, it's just another example of how this guy is just such an absolute wizard. The first play of the game, you saw it even. It looked like Cadeau tried a floater. It missed off the glass. Adai Mara got the offensive rebound and put back. That was by design. Michigan was practicing it by design because Arizona fronts the post so well. They knew it would be difficult to get the bigs to their spots. So they were looking for Cadeau and others, but really Elliott to try and create off the bounce and set Adai up off the glass. I mean, it was a pass off the backboard. Amari was talking about how they were working on it in practice. And for Michigan to take a game that had the billing of maybe one of those all-time games, 1 seed versus 1 seed, 2 teams that had been on the top line at various points this year. And just, I mean, they led 77-47. They were up 30 points midway through the second half. This thing was over a few minutes into the second half. It's just the latest example, and doing so much of it while Yaxel plays 14 minutes. It's incredible what this team has done, and they are now on the doorstep of the second national title since 1989.
I'm glad you ended on Yaxel because I don't think you can tell the story of this game without Yaxel. The two fouls early, and you go, oh boy, this Arizona team is not, it's not Tennessee, right? This is a team who just crushed Purdue, who just beat Michigan 2 weeks ago, right? So this is a whole different ball game is what you're thinking going into this game. Yaxel gets those two fouls, and all of a sudden, Michigan just looked, more ready. You can go any cliche you want, right? They just seemed, they had the energy. They didn't look nervous, and that can sometimes be overblown. But like Arizona just looked utterly unprepared isn't the right word, but just not ready to handle the Wolverines. And you saw so quickly, even with Yaxel, who oftentimes is that tone setter for Michigan, he comes out with the foul trouble. He comes out with the knee. And Michigan almost, we've talked all year about how they kind of find ways to inspire themselves. It felt kind of like that, right? Like it felt like another way for Michigan to be digging into the bag of reasons for, hey, our guy Yaxel's down. We got to dig deeper. We got to find that next gear. And they sure did. The stats are not going to tell the full story of this game. Even you look at like Arizona, I believe, finished with more rebounds for the game, right? And like the shooting percentages weren't that awful. 36-35 is pretty bad. But when you look at the game before, the UConn-Illinois game, both teams were around that. Like you can be competitive with those games. But Michigan they just blitzed them out the gate, right? And that's just, we've said it all year. That's a skill for this team. That they go on runs, they get a lot of momentum, and it just stockpiles, and it just feels like you can't keep up. And so it just felt like, it felt like a crowning moment, a historical context type situation where you're like, we aren't even talking about the basketball team anymore. We're talking about who this basketball team aligns with historically, because it was just such an impressive performance after you and I spent all week on the podcast, after everyone was talking about, this is the game, this is the thrill score on KenPom.com that we were talking about. You ended up throwing that out the window, right? Like it was just complete domination.
Yeah, Michigan rendered it all moot, right? And like you're looking for the word that to describe Arizona. I would go shell shocked, right? And that's one of the risks you run when you have three freshmen who are really key to your operation. The lights are really bright, the talent is really high, and Michigan just has not been fazed by it at any turn this year. And some of the stats, like the rebounding one is a good point, may not tell the story, but I think so many of them did. And what's going to go overlooked in this game, because everybody sort of tends to gravitate, unless you're really analyzing and deep diving, which we try to do at certain points. But when these games are moving this quickly, you're just trying to help tell the story of what happened that day. But one major thing that happened was Michigan's defense, which is now back up to number one in the nation on KenPom. Not only did they hold Arizona to 36.6% shooting, and they were 35% from long range, but a couple of those came late. But Arizona had 5 assists as a team on 26 baskets. So 21 of those baskets they had to generate by themselves, right? Like they're not facilitating, they're not getting in the flow of the offense. Michigan had 22 assists, right? And so they're passing it, and like there's times where you'll just get the ball to a die in the post, and he can finish with the right or the left. He loves to go baseline, but as soon as you think he's going to go baseline, he'll go right in the paint and just scoop it in. And there's times Elliott's creating off the bounce, or Trey McKinney is getting the ball coming off a screen and pulling up from the wing. But by and large, there's just so many moments, like Adai's bounce pass to Roddy Gale, cutting on the baseline for a slam. Namari he drives baseline, and then he bounces to Roddy, who then cuts down the middle of the lane. He throws down yet another dunk. Will Cheddar creating off the bounce and kicking out to Roddy, who hit a three in the corner. And it's funny. All three of those plays mentioned Roddy Gale, and I feel like he wasn't even one of the 6 best players for Michigan in this game. So again, I don't know if I said this off the top, and we tried to. If anyone has questions or comments or predictions or whatever, we're doing this live just so we can interact with everybody. And I got plenty to write. So, but we wanted to make sure that we got in with the people if we have anything, Andrew.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. So Ken Fisher is in our comments doing what we're asking for. So thank you to Ken. He also said go blue, of course, but Ken said Arizona, in my opinion, was overrated. Again, in my opinion, their W's this season was from a weak conference. Their schedule was not that hard based on who they played. At best, maybe a 2 seed. What do you guys think? So, Ken, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you here. The numbers, the analytics, the schedule, this is a legitimate opponent. Now, if you want to say on this given day, Arizona looked a little overrated, I mean, it's impossible to argue with you. I mean, they looked utterly unready for this game. And Tony mentioned the freshman. I think that's an important detail. And I also thought it was funny that you brought up the assist, Tony, because I was going to say the one stat that did absolutely tell the story was the assist, because Michigan just strangled the life out of that Arizona offense, man. It just felt like they had no plan or no options really, where so quickly they would move to bad options, and this was a great day for some stock that I've been quietly holding, which is Adai Morris secretly the most valuable player on this Michigan basketball team. Yaxel, rightfully so, gets a lot of the credit, and you can't tell the story of last game without Yaxel, because for all the different reasons he comes in, he still hits his threes and does his job when he plays. But the way the way Adai protects the rim, and Arizona is probably the next team in the country you would circle as size, interior presence, and Michigan just completely neutralized that on both sides of the floor. Morez Johnson, of course, gets some credit for that too. But man, was Mara impactful in this game. And I don't know another team in the country who could lose a player as good as Yaxel and still potentially, even if he sat out next game after the way they played in this game, you might still think that Michigan could be favored. And that's how good their performance was. And again, what we've talked about all year of the variance in the different ways that this team can beat you. If Cadeau's having an off day earlier in the year, LJ Kaysen would come in, or maybe, you run the point through Yaxel a little bit more. Okay, if Mara's having a bad day or he gets in foul trouble, you have Morez Johnson to sub in and play the 5. I mean, just the different ways this Michigan team can beat you. And I think that was probably the biggest takeaway from this game, right? It's just like, even Yaxel, who has carried them and had so many huge games in the absolute biggest spots, he ends up not even being able, he's minutes wise, not that big of a factor. And you just utterly roll Arizona. And to me, that's kind of what I'm going to remember from this one.
I will too. And I have a thought on that. But first, I want to get to Ken's point or question about Arizona being overrated. I think that's doing Michigan a disservice, right? Just because Michigan is making teams look pedestrian does not mean that they are. I mean, Arizona just beat a very good Purdue team. They had to go through Arkansas, who is extremely talented, and they had no problem doing so. And I mean, if you look back at
destroyed Arkansas.
I mean, they beat Florida this year. They beat Connecticut this year. They beat Alabama this year. They lost 2 games separated by 5 days, 1 week in the middle of February. They were 23-0 before that and 13-0 after that. And the Big 12 was pretty good this year. Like, Iowa State bowed out a little earlier than they thought, but Joshua Jefferson, their star player and All-American, got hurt, so can't hold that against them. Texas Tech was phenomenal, but JT Toppin tore his ACL. He was their best player, right? Kansas wasn't quite vintage Kansas, but still a 4 or 5 seed. BYU had AJ Dembatsa, who is going to be a top 2 player in the country, right? Like, this is Houston was a 2 seed. This was not some scrub conference, and Arizona was the best team in it going away. So I don't want to take anything away from Michigan. They just flat out dominated Arizona. So appreciate it and still want you to ask questions, but like Andrew, just going to disagree with that one a bit. But as far as what you're saying, Andrew, that's pretty much
Ken's a Michigan Ken's a Michigan fan, right? So he's gonna be just fine hearing that. No, actually, I think Michigan is that good. I don't think hopefully Ken's not too upset by that response.
No, that's right. And then as far as the other part, you're taking a look ahead, and I haven't even submitted it yet, so I know you haven't read it yet. But that's essentially what I'm going to be writing as our morning preview for how Michigan got to this national championship game. So the premise of it is that Michigan is essentially a puzzle, right? All teams are a puzzle. You have the different pieces that do different things, and they all work together to create the full picture. But Michigan lately, and frankly all year, has felt more like an infinity puzzle, which is one that, like most jigsaw puzzles or whatever, can only be solved in one way. So everybody has to do a certain thing. Michigan is so versatile. They have so many players that can do so many things and lock and unlock things for other players, right? So to your Adai Mara point, I mean, I wouldn't say that he's Michigan's most valuable player, but an argument could be made. And I would, and I don't hate the argument. He's incredibly valuable. There's no way around that. Just what he does on defense, right? I mean, how many times we talked about it, and it's obvious, right? If you're watching the game, protecting the rim. What that does defensively is it allows everybody on offense to really fight over ball screens. You're not going under ball screens, and you are running teams off the 3-point line. And because, say, you're a step behind, and then they're trying to drive down the lane, you got the length down there to disrupt it, to block it, whatever. Or they're going to have to, I mean, they're either taking a tough shot or they're going to have to settle for a mid-range 2, which is what Michigan wants to give up. They're the lowest effective field goal on the court, right? You've got Yaxel, who can run the point, who can play the 3, can play the 4. There have been games where Mara and Merez were both in foul trouble, and he played the 5, right? They've used the phrase multiple times. He is the queen on the chessboard. And so you have that. I mean, the way they've overcome LJ Kaysen and the way Trey McKinney has stepped up. Dusty was talking about how, I mean, they intentionally, day one in practice, after LJ went down, they ran a lot of time with McKinney at point, and there were a lot of mistakes on that first day. There were fewer on the second day, fewer on the third day, and he has just steadily improved getting into his new role, right? Namari as a spacer, Will Cheddar as just sort of the glue guy, the energy guy off the bench, which is in some way, like in some ways, maybe that's narrative based or cliche, but you can't quantify that. It's a real thing. Like I see the way I'm behind the scenes, I'm watching the team. I mean, more than you could possibly imagine, or maybe exactly as much as you would imagine and hope someone covering the team would. But I mean, just he's the one clapping and high-fiving everyone and like screaming while they're warming up and getting ready and just doing everything. And then Merez Johnson, the phrase that has been used is he's the enforcer, right? Like if you want to get to Michigan, you got to go through Merez Johnson Jr. And so, and just on and on and on. And to bring the point full circle, Michigan lost an All-American, the Big Ten Player of the Year, for a substantial portion of the game. And they beat one of the 4 most efficient teams in KenPom history, beat the doors off them without him. It just speaks to the different way. Like normally, if you pull that block out of the Jenga tower, I mean, that's a base pillar block. Normally, that whole thing is going down. But Michigan they just don't crumble. They just don't do it. And it starts with Dusty. I mean, having Michigan shoot at the Big House this past week, right? Like Will was there, Namari was there, and they're literally they wheel a hoop onto the Big House field to take threes, to simulate like a lack of depth perception that you get from playing in a football stadium as opposed to like a basketball arena. Passes off the glass from Cadeau to Adai. I mean, he's sitting courtside. He's like 1 row and 3 seats to my right. While in the first Final Four game, while we're watching Illinois and UConn, he's right next to Kyle Church, Brandon Gilbert, the assistant. Kyle Church is the assistant coach and GM. Brandon Gilbert, who is the special assistant to Dusty May, he's right behind him. I mean, they're taking notes. I'm watching them the whole time. I mean, they're just talking, and like you can see them pointing, just scheming, game planning, coming up with ideas, and he's also doing it to save him time. He's like, by watching it live, maybe I don't have to go watch this film back, and I can watch film about how UConn played teams that might be more similar to us than Illinois is, right? And so he is so intentional, and he does everything deliberately and efficiently, and that's why Michigan is in this national championship game.
Yeah, I mean, some of that stuff don't get me wrong. I mean, who can question Dustin right now? Like the shooting in the big house, particularly, is what comes to mind. It's like if you win, that's something you highlight, like genius. If you lose, it's like what a waste of time. It's like that's one of those things you can kind of maybe latch on to. Is like those are you're shaking your head.
Yeah, I don't think that would be. I mean, that's not a way. Like I wouldn't even see that. Like here's a
Maybe
perfect
not
phrase.
waste time, but it's like
Dusty
it's
May
like
calls that like that phenomenon that you're describing. Dusty May calls that resulting. He's like, we are concerned with the
there can be
process.
resulting with some of that stuff though.
We are, and Michigan will not do that. They are concerned with the process. They're making sure that they've thought of everything they possibly can. Now, is it going to work? No. Does it look even better when it works? Yes. But just the forethought to do those little things, and maybe you don't have to think that's the best example of it, and that's totally fine. But it's everything. It's all the time. Michigan, like Dusty is. I mean, I don't know. Like we've used this example before. Like listening to podcasts on 2x speed, right? I mean, Will Cheddar was talking today about how his favorite thing of Dusty is just how maniacal he is, and they know. Like it's one of those feelings as a player when you know that your staff has done every single thing they possibly can, and all the staffs try, but just that inherent belief that like these guys are setting us up for success. Right. There's not that question in the back of your mind about like, is how effective is this, or why are they having me do this? It does not matter why. Like there is just that level of trust that we are doing this for a reason. And I mean, 36-3, I don't think there's much room for argument about how effective.
No, but I'm saying like, I said
I'm not saying you were. I'm not saying you were. I'm saying in general.
Yeah, no. I think that like in general, they're so detailed that you could pick a million examples and some of them might be more meaningful than others, right? Most coaches watch. I mean, I guess I didn't see Tommy Lloyd out there pregame watching UConn and Illinois, but like that's a semi-standard practice. But when you take the grand scheme of things and all the stuff, I mean, Michigan it feels like they're the team, right? Like they have all the right players in the right roles and the coaching staff that's clicking on all cylinders, much like the 2023-24 UConn team that we're going to hear a lot about in I think the next 24 hours, right? Because Michigan is playing UConn, and that's the last team that was as dominant as Michigan, maybe not as dominant. We could pick hairs, but I wrote down some of their numbers because I think that's going to be discussed this upcoming day and a half leading into the game. So UConn in 2023-24 runs through, and I believe they're the first team or only team to ever win every game by double digits. They beat Stetson 91-52. They beat Northwestern 75-58. They beat San Diego State 82-52, Illinois 77-52, Alabama 86-72 in the Final Four, and then cap it off with a 15-point 75-60 win over Purdue in the national championship game in Zach Edey. So I think that is kind of like the company that Michigan is running in now, as far as just how elite this run has been. It's similar to what they did earlier this year in Las Vegas. But to get there, they are going to have to get through this UConn team who's getting really good at dragging teams down into the mud, right? Like, I think that UConn, like, you could make an argument to me that the last 3 games UConn's won, they might not be as talented top to bottom roster-wise. Michigan State, probably, I think you give the slight edge to UConn, but they're in the same ballpark. They beat Duke, a Duke team they're not as talented as, and they beat an Illinois team who is littered with talent, one of the most talented offensive teams in the country, and they just made Illinois play that style. So, as great in as much historical context as we put out there, when you look at this run and what UConn has done over the last 4-ish years, when you include that one from 2023, 2024, what do you think UConn is doing? And what do you think Dan Hurley does to kind of drag teams down into the mud? And is Michigan at risk of that?
Somewhat. I still think Michigan is going to be just fine. But, what UConn has done, if there is a reason for concern, it's just stylistically, right? Like Dusty May compared them more philosophically than stylistically, but those things sort of go hand in hand, to Iowa, a team that is going to be slow. They're going to control the pace. They're going to limit possessions. A stat I saw today, and I'd like to give credit to whoever dug it up, but I just can't quite remember who it was. So I apologize. I'm not trying to rip the stat, but it was Michigan is 12-0 in games where they have 75 possessions or more, and they have won those games by an average of 30 points. So point being, if you're trying to get in a track meet with Michigan, you are doing so at your own peril. You will not only be losing, you will be getting run off the floor. UConn, meanwhile, their tempo offensively is number 340 in the country, averaging nearly 20 seconds per offensive possession, and 340 out of 365 teams. So, I mean, they are in the bottom 10% in terms of tempo. They have not had a tournament game with more than 65 possessions this year. So they are just slowing the game down and slowing it down. And what Dusty May was talking about, and really what I saw watching them up close and personal for the first time, finally not having to take notes on a game and write a game, but just watching and analyzing a game from courtside at the Final Four, which is just a wonderful treat to get to do. I mean, there are so many actions. They set so many screens off ball, and there is so much movement away from the ball, and ball reversal and just options. I mean, they have a plan A, B, and C on every single set that they run, and so I think one of the first things that we were talking about and sort of in the preview prediction that you'll see tomorrow morning on Freep.com, I think that, for all the different things that you can look at in this game, right? Terrace Reed Jr., who's been sensational in this tournament, averaging 22 and a half points and 11 boards a game. You got Alex Caravan, who has won 18 NCAA tournament games during his time in Stores, which includes 2 national.
That's like a Tom Brady. That's like a Tom Brady playoff stat right there. I mean, that might that might never be beaten. I mean, what the heck? That's crazy.
Yeah, no, not anytime soon.
Not in the modern era.
Guys just don't stick around for 4 years with one program. And if you're this key to a team, normally you're in the league. It's just, they just threaded the needle perfectly with him. And you got to win. Even tight games, you got to find ways to do it. Better teams have lost, you know what I mean? And so just that Braylon Mullins, who is named after Braylon Edwards, the Michigan wide receiver. He's their freshman guard, the one who hit the miracle 35-footer against Duke. He came in this year as one of perhaps the top perceived shooter in the country as a freshman, and now he's humming with the confidence from that shot. They just have a number of weapons that they can beat you with. Silas Demery, the transfer. He's a junior wing from Georgia. He leads the team in assists. So this is a talented team, but they've got a lot of options. And I guess that's the whole point of all of this, right? They take their time to find their best option. Michigan still likes to play up tempo, but they are also trying to exploit a mismatch as well. UConn is not trying to play up tempo and exploit a mismatch. They will use the entirety of the shot clock. They won't rush themselves, and they will get a good look. That's what they have proven time and time again. It's not an elite shooting team. It's a good shooting team. They're number 36 in the country from long range. They're only number 71 in 2-point percentage, which is a little surprising considering Terrace Reed Jr. is one of the most efficient 2-point shooters in the country. But that would be the concern for Michigan. I was talking with a Dymar today, and he said the 3 games we lost this year, and maybe I don't know if Wisconsin fits in that bill, but certainly Duke, which had 62 possessions, and Purdue, which had 63 possessions. The other team dictated the pace of the game, right? Michigan has to be the one to do that, or the winner of this game likely will be. So that's really the area of concern, because pound for pound, Michigan is a more talented team. And then there's the Dan Hurley factor. UConn just does not lose, period, point blank, after the Sweet 16. Dan Hurley is undefeated after the Sweet 16. They're 13-1 all time in Final Four games and national championship games. They're not always there, but if they're there, they are winning, right? It's just, it's impossible to believe. So there's reasons to think that UConn can win this game. But like we were talking about off the top, Michigan's answers, their philosophies, their detailed scout. I don't know Michigan doesn't like to give it away ahead of time. We'll see it unfold, whatever the way they believe is best to win this game. But Michigan they will show you what, that's something Dusty says. When they're playing a non-conference team, they're we will find out who they think is our weakness on defense, because that's who they're going to attack, right? Like, and same thing for Michigan. Like, they will show you the way they feel this game is going to be won. And sometimes it's balance, right? Against Arizona, it was down low early. It was a die early and often. And then once Dusty said, I mean, every action causes a reaction. And then once Arizona is sagging a little bit deeper into the paint, they're helping more when a die gets sort of on the block. Trey hit a couple threes in a row. Yaxel hit a couple threes in a row. Elliott hit a couple of threes in a row. And then you've got more airspace for your shooters. And that's another thing. If Michigan does what they've done the first 5 games of this tournament, which is shoot 44% from three, they will be the national champion. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. They still can be if they don't. But if they keep shooting like this, good night.
Yep, we certainly will be watching that and seeing if UConn can make Michigan adapt to their style, which is what they're going to be trying to do. So, first of all, shout out to Ken Fisher for all the questions, real MVP of this show. Secondly, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk Yaxel on the other side, so stick with us. All right, we're back. Thank you to everyone who's staying tuned with us here on the live. Thank you to everyone listening to the podcast. Super good audience today. Good interaction. We're loving doing this. It's, not much more fun stuff to talk about than a national championship game. So let's talk about Yaxel. Knee and ankle injury. I believe it was on the same play, right? It kind of one of those where the ankle gives way and then the knee gets hurt in the same play. By all accounts, the dude's going to play. If you had to throw a number on it, and this is not fair of me to do to you, but I'm going to do it to you anyways, give me a percentage. Where do you think Yaxel will be for this game?
His health or percentage chance that he plays?
No, percentage, his health percentage. Like, is he at 80%? Is he at 70%? Well, just what you're around this team a lot. Throw me a guess. What do you think?
I think maybe he'll be probably somewhere like 60, 70%. He's
That
not practicing. Right. He's not practicing today. I was talking with Chris Williams, the trainer, after Michigan's locker room availability. And he said Yaxel was in his room until 4:30 this morning, getting treatment, doing various therapies, ice, compression, all sorts of things. They got an MRI this morning. It came back clear. So it's a low-grade sprain to his MCL. Same with his ankle. Sounds like they also said something about a bone bruise. I don't know which one of those that was pertaining to. They were literally being carted away when they sort of shouted that final line at us as they were leaving to go do more treatment while Michigan was getting ready to take the court. So sounds like he wasn't going to do any work today, but he needs rest. He needs rest and recovery. He's going to be a part of the game plan. He's going to give them whatever he can. And Will Cheddar said, because injury is not new to Yaxel this year, unfortunately, yet he hasn't missed a game, right? He was playing he had like a brace on his shooting hand early in the year when he injured his right thumb. He had a calf strain, I think it was, calf strain, like late December, early January, as the season was turning into like a Big Ten play was really starting to ramp up. And I remember talking to him in the Pacific Northwest. If he was going to keep going, if he needed to take a couple of games off, he's like, look, if we're going to get to where we need to go to, I need to be on the court with these guys as much as possible so we can continue to grow as a unit and figure this thing out. So he's gutted injury out before, not much to the chagrin of his agent and his mother, who understandably so. They're also thinking about the long game. Like, you can see it from both perspectives. They're like, hey, maybe like Michigan was doing fine without you. You can't say that that'll translate the next day, but like, you might need to protect yourself because you are one game away from a 8-figure contract in the NBA and becoming a top 15 pick, right? Like, the last thing after all your work, after the JUCO, after UAB, after starting your career late, like, you are a rising star. Let's not injure it now, but if not now, when? Essentially is Yaxel's thing, right? He's like, this is what I've waited for my entire life. Like, he said, unless I stand up and collapse because I can't walk, I'm playing in this game. So it's going to be far from full health. But and he said at one point, he's like, I might just have to be like a corner 3-point shooter. I don't know if that's like bait or if he was being serious and maybe giving away a little more of the scout than Michigan would want. But Will Cheddar said it to me in the locker room today. He's like, look, 60% of Yaxel is still better than the majority of players in college basketball. We're going to take anything he can give us. And so we will see. Unfortunate for sure, right? Like at minimum, this is an unfortunate circumstance to be dealing with in the national championship. But those are the cards they've been dealt. So we shall see.
Yeah, I just want to circle back to Ken's question here, so we don't ignore him. He said, "How many ranked teams are in Arizona's conference compared to the Big 20?" Actually, he's basically, it was kind of a Freudian slip. He tried to say Big 10, but there are 18 teams in the conference now. So actually, Ken, not even that inaccurate. He was saying earlier he wasn't doubting Michigan's strength or just saying their schedule prepared them better. Michigan should have been ranked in the polls ahead of Arizona. So yeah, I mean, we've kind of been saying that for much of the year. We all remember earlier in the year we were saying, as impressive as Arizona's been, it's hard to doubt this Michigan run. And I guess we ended up being right. Now, if you play that game 7 times, which is a one and done tournament, I think it might've been a little bit closer, right, than what it ended up being. But that one day Michigan was the team and they were more prepared and ready. And that's a strength of having an older team, a more veteran team. And I can see that being a factor in the championship game too, right? If UConn maybe gets off to a hot start, Michigan could be the team and has shown all year that they're not going to get bothered by that,
Yeah, and also and here's another example of like Dusty May's forethought, just the intentionality with which they scheduled. Even you go back to the preseason, the exhibition games, right? They're playing St. John's and MSG. They intentionally played in MSG in Washington, D.C., and they had the benefit of playing in Chicago for the Big Ten tournament. And I don't think D.C. was an accident scheduling a game there, knowing that the East Regional was going to be there, and they might need to be in that very gym, right? And so and just all the various styles of teams, different leagues, ACC, Wake Forest, Big 12, TCU, obviously what they did in Vegas against San Diego State from the Mountain West, which is generally they just missed the tournament. Auburn also just missed the tournament. They're playing in the NIT championship at Cambridge right up the road tonight, actually, against Tulsa. And then Gonzaga, who was a 3 seed in the tournament. And I mean, this is the first year. I mean, they had made like 9 straight Sweet 16s or 8, something like that before this year. Right. And they weren't in charge of exactly who they played in Vegas because wins and losses determined it, but just agreeing to be in that sort of setting. Dusty likes the quick turnaround games. Like, hey, how can we prep for a team when there's not a ton of time to scout, and what can make us the most difficult to play against on a short turnaround? And then the various styles in the league in the Big Ten, which has prepared Michigan for this moment, to Ken's point, right? Like it was for sure the best conference in America this year. You've got a big, talented Illinois team. You've got a veteran Purdue team that runs through its point guard. You've got a grinded out and talented and capable Michigan State team. Iowa, who likes to slow it down, who made a run to the Elite Eight. Nebraska played 5 out. Wisconsin played 5 out and really exposed some things for Michigan. So they have played every style of game imaginable this season. And that's why another reason they feel so prepared for what they're going to see with UConn on Monday.
All right. We probably got to go. As you said, you're running on fumes and have a million other projects to do. I think my mom started vacuuming upstairs, which, she knew I was on a podcast. So it's a total mom move to try to, all right, let's just get vacuumed. I mean, these things happen, right? So we got to run. Any final parting words here before we sign off and maybe offer a prediction here?
Yeah, no, just thanks everybody for following, for watching the live, for reading our coverage. It is just, how does it get better than covering a national championship with a great group of players and coaches who are all so easy to be happy for, gracious with their time, and just I guess I'll do it. So yesterday was my 4-year anniversary at the Free Press. So have had 4 years on the beat and have now brought to you all a football national championship, and we are on the cusp of a basketball national championship. So I might offer my services around to like I don't know, like professional organizations.
Highest bidder, baby.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So We shall see. But it is going to be it's going to be a madhouse in Indianapolis tomorrow night at Lucas Oil Stadium. As far as my prediction, I think we've sort of given it away, but it is just hard to see anybody slowing Michigan down right now. I don't know that they get quite to that 90-point mark that they've been hitting with regularity in the tournament, but I've got it higher than Ken Palm has it, just because I think Michigan's offense is that inevitable. I think it'll be Michigan 87-ish and UConn 76. So I think this one will be pretty well in hand in the closing stretches of the second half, and just celebrate it. Should this happen, celebrate safely, stay in one place, hire a driver, do all the responsible things, and enjoy with friends and family, and read all the coverage on freep.com, because it's not just me down here. We've got Sean Windsor, we've got Carlos Menares, we've got Mitch Album on hand. We've got multiple photographers down here. We've got our whole team will be on, who's not down here will be on the ground in Ann Arbor covering all the reaction, from the watch party at Chrysler to what's going to ensue on South University. Been a part of a few of those, and those get pretty wild. So just a great time. It's been a fantastic season. We've done our best to bring you behind the scenes and tell you the stories that other people aren't, and bring you the coverage you want. So hope you feel you've learned something. Hope you've enjoyed it. And I'm expecting a parade on State Street and through downtown Ann Arbor. I think it'll be later next week, but have not been told. I think that one, I think they don't want to jinx. I think they're probably planning with the city commission and those sorts of things, but they won't be announcing parade times until that's official.
Yeah, if you're in the business of communications, leaking out parade details before the final game might not be best practice. So you can understand that one.
Yeah, do not recommend. Do not recommend.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Tony. Appreciate all the hustle in Indianapolis. Thank you to everyone who listened and watched on live here. Don't forget to check out your podcast feeds. Please subscribe if you like the show. And we'll be back in the near future. Tuesday might be tough. I mean, I'm imagining you're going to be traveling. We'll try to get to you guys maybe Wednesday or Thursday with the podcast. We'll be coming back to you guys shortly on the feed, win, lose, or draw from Indianapolis. So appreciate everyone for tuning in. Thank you to our acting sports editor, Ryan Ford, the editor-in-chief of the Detroit Free Press, Nicole Avery Nichols, and, of course, to Robin Chan, the editor and producer of the show. And with that, we'll talk to you guys soon. Enjoy the game. And, we'll be back soon.